We both know why you're here, and that's to talk about the next Fallout.
So I wanted to go ahead and address something that I kind of touched on in one of my previous videos that unfortunately a lot of people were upset about. I'll touch on that just a little bit later in this video. So talking about the next Fallout. So jumping into this, something that they made kind of a big deal about, I felt like, at least during the Fallout 76 announcement, that's what I've got in the background here for those who aren't aware, was that it was the tricentennial Independence Day, 300 years of America. You know, it was a big, like, hurrah hurrah, like, America kind of push for on the game. And honestly, all of Fallout has always kind of been a very, like, pro-America kind of game. I think they've kind of lost that because of a lot of the, like, just straight up woke ideology and things that kind of slowly seeped into Bethesda, that slowly started ruining a lot of their games and making development just kind of worthless, and how we got games like Starfield after games, and unfortunately the original release of Fallout 76, and I digress. But something that made me really happy, at least at the beginning of Fallout 76 during the announcement, before finding out that it was going to have like 0 NPCs and stuff like that, was how like pro-patriotic that they were making it. And it gave me a lot of like hope and excitement for the game, and it made me happy. Even to this day now, they still have a decent amount of like patriotic stuff in the game. That's kind of a lot of like what Fallout is supposed to be, as well as like a very patriotic game, because like we were at war and like all this crazy stuff happens, blah blah blah. You know the story. But I feel like they have always kind of like lacked on that a little bit. Like I, touched on, or I didn't quite say it in my previous video, but something that I really wanted to touch on that I feel like a lot of people don't understand is that, like, so not only do I want like more modern guns in Fallout, but I want more American guns. Like, they love to put the AK in every game. They like to kind of put the 1911 in some games. That's like the only like American firearm that they really use. Other than that, it's kind of lackluster. Like, I heard somebody else mention it in one of their videos. I forget who it was. I'm sorry about that. If you remember, let me know in the comments below to give them credit. But somebody else made a video talking about like Fallout 76, the firearms in Fallout, and how they were, lacking a lot of firearms. So like in Fallout 76, something weird you can do is, I think it's the AK, you can buy a skin for it to turn it into like an AR-15. I think it's an AR-10, like an OG like AR-10 variant, which is really silly because they didn't bother with just putting the AR-10 in the actual game, or an actual AR-15 in the game, which they have that very gun in older games. They have the service rifle from like Fallout 76, was just an M16 with some wood modifications to it and stuff like that. And then they have the marksman rifle as well, that's got like quad rails and things like that. They have a lot of other stuff that they already existed in the Fallout universe that they could have added, and in my opinion, there's a lot of stuff still, like, even if people want to say stick to whatever time frame, there is still a lot of cool like AR-15 and other like decent stuff they can add from that time that they just don't. That's like American firepower. Like, we really need American firepower and more American stuff in Fallout, more than just like seeing an American flag like every once in a while and like hearing like a kind of patriotic song or whatever. We need like a lot more real stuff that was like made in America in Fallout, rather than having stuff that was like made in China and Russia and stuff like that. It's really weird to see that stuff. It's just really weird. And a lot of people, for some reason, I feel like, justify the stuff that they have in the game and not seeing AR-15s and stuff because they're like, no, Cold War only. And it's like, you realize that we had like a lot of other stuff during the Cold War. We had like, okay, so I'm in the middle of editing this Fallout video, and I wanted to go, and I'm also about to film another video. So, and if you are interested in seeing stuff like this, go check out my link in the description below to my other channel. But point being, this is what a lot of people come to expect when they think of like a Cold War era AR. If you're not aware, this, or relatively not exactly set up like this, and yes, this is an airsoft gun, but this is basically what was available during the Cold War. The Cold War went up until 1991 at least. I would still say that we've still been in the Cold War technically until now, and Article 4 just got started with NATO, so we're possibly about to go into World War III. So that, technically speaking, we've still always been in the Cold War. It never ended, baby. Anyway, but yeah, so it didn't have, in the 80s and like what a lot of people think of, you know, when they think of like Cold War stuff, they didn't have like the detachable charging handle until like the 90s. But like I said, it ended in 91, so we could say that this was still plausible. And then, you know, other attachments, things like that. They had slings, they didn't exactly have like 4 grips yet, blah blah blah. I think some people actually did. No, some people actually did. So never mind, scratch what I just said. But basically, you had stuff like this. Go to modern day, we have things like this. Who's to say that in Fallout they couldn't still have both of these? Like, I don't see a problem with it. I think both of these fit. So I think aesthetically it makes sense for like fashion and things like that to maybe like stop and, you know, what's it called? Fashion basically stops progressing, but obviously they're still in war times, so things like this would still be progressing and being, you know, innovated on and things like that. It just makes sense because they innovate on everything else for war and things like that in the Fallout universe. So why wouldn't this get innovated on? The AR-18 also existed somewhere around the 80s. I think it was made in the 60s if I remember right. So that also makes sense to be in Fallout. There's also, like I said, I think I said it in the video, but I'll say it again, there's a plethora of Wonder 9s and all kinds of different you know, handguns and things like that that came about during that era up until the 90s. You have M9s, SIG, tons of different, like, you know, Browning, the high power, you know, plenty of different examples basically. So I think stuff like this, more American guns need to be in Fallout. Just wanted to go ahead and add that here. If you want to see my video talking about this rifle, I'm going to be posting videos soon on my other channel, Checks Munitions. Like I said, link is in the description below. Go ahead and check that out. Go subscribe to me over there. Help support my firearms channel. Definitely would love to get more content over there. Just, you know, try to find the time. Anyway. Not only AR-15s, but we had AR-18s. We also had like a ton of other like really cool, pretty much modern firearms during that time. I think we had I think the Beretta M9 existed at that time as well, and like there was a bunch, that was like the Wonder 9 era. There was a bunch of cool 9mm handguns and different, you know, things that were coming out. So there's a lot of really cool stuff that they could add into the game that I really would like to see. In fact, just to prove my point, I'm gonna add this in.
First vaults to open was built to celebrate America's tercentenary, which is an awesome word, by the way. Like, that's your word of the night, tercentenary.
I could have swear it was
You are one of the very special few selected to be an occupant and spend 20...
No, it's tricentennial, I swear. No, he's mispronouncing it. I'm not mispronouncing it. He's mispronouncing it. Right? Let me know in the comments.
5 years underground waiting for Reclamation Day. The day the vault...
I'll just let this keep going in the background at this point. But that's my point. You know, he makes a big thing about it right there. And they do have, you know, that American, like, 50s, 60s, you know, style. Like, I love that style, like, so much. I love the whole, especially, like, the ball out aesthetic of it. I love it so much, actually, that I am literally about to buy a coffee maker that is basically like this aesthetic. It's the whole like, whatever you call this. It's like, it's a red one too. I'm actually really excited. I'm using it to help me quit smoking. For some reason, drinking coffee like really helps me with quitting smoking. It's like I can literally just like have a cup of coffee instead of a cigarette. So I don't know why a lot of people say that like it's the complete opposite for them, but that's what my body likes. Anyway, and so you see a lot of the stuff in the vault here. You know, they've got a lot of like get a job special. You know, this is really just like Fallout stuff. But I mean, like I said, they make a big spiel about it being the tricentennial.
We always start with the world, and this time it features all new rendering, lighting, and landscape technology. It allows us to have 16 times the detail and even view.
Memes aside, they really did do the world of Fallout 76 really, really well. Like, I jumped into it after the show launched, and oh my gosh, I got lost in how many hours that I actually dumped into the game. I'd have to check it on my PlayStation to see, because that's where I really played it, was on my PlayStation. But man, just exploring, running around and like seeing what there was and doing quests and things like that, I had so much fun. And there's still so much of the map that I haven't explored. Like, I've only explored so much of the map. I've probably really only explored like 40% of it. Like, there's still a good bit that I like actually have not even seen, that I have not gone to, that I've not had a quest to go to, that I've not, had a reason or rhyme or whatever to go see. It is a huge map. They did it really, really well. I really hope that the future Fallout games are at least this size, to be honest with you. I hope Fallout 5 is roughly this size. Or, Boston, Fallout 4 was like pretty big, but I feel like I explored it like pretty fast. Now, I know that they used like that auto generation stuff that like people were really unhappy with in Starfield. If they used a little bit of that just to help build out a map, I wouldn't be horribly upset with that, as long as they then afterwards went in and like touched it up to add a bunch of stuff. I don't know, something like that. I just really want like a bigger world. More to the point of that, I really want to see more American stuff. I think it would be really cool if we got a game where it was somewhere that like, I had to gather my thought for a second. So keeping it like with a big map, I would love it if we had somewhere where like, and they've kind of done this a little bit in some of the Fallout games, like Fallout 4, you have the radiation zone, and then like everything else further from it, is kind of normal. I would love it if we had a game where like it's a big map, and on like one side of the map, it's like far enough outside of where a bomb hit or whatever, where like you can see the destruction, and like, it's like bad, blah, blah, blah. But then like if you're on the other side of the map, there's still a lot of stuff that's like still really well intact together, like other than like stuff from like time and things happening. It wasn't like, you can tell it wasn't hit with a bomb. And maybe you can find working cars in that area of the map, and then we can finally get cars and things in a Fallout game, because they already brought ships into Starfield and they put cars in Starfield. I would love it if we could get cars in Fallout 4, or Fallout 5, sorry. I think that would be a huge addition. I think it's kind of a step in the right direction, especially since we already see a ton of cars in the older games. I think it would be really cool if we actually got to use some of those, and then like got to use, the trunk for storage and things like that. Even like bringing a companion in, so like Dogmeat is in like every game now at this point, for whatever reason. Dogmeat is eternal. He's just some weird mutant dog that is just forever, always, everywhere that he needs to be for the plot. The plot. He's there for the plot. But you know, dog meat can like get in the back seat or sit passenger. Whoever companion can also get in the car with you. That would be really cool. I also want to see more companions. So like Fallout 4 had a lot of companions, and they did it really, really well. It was a huge step up from Skyrim, where like honestly the only like only really good at all companion was Serana. I think, and she was amazing. Like honestly, even compared to like the Fallout 4 companions, Serana stood like crazy high above like a lot of the other companions. Honestly, just her writing and everything, she felt like an actual like best friend that I took like on a journey with me when I played Skyrim. So I really want to see more companions like that. I didn't play Starfield, but I heard that everybody was still really disappointed with the Starfield companions. From what I saw, I was disappointed with them. I didn't think any of them were like really interesting at all, except maybe like one, and even her, it was kind of like, eh. Another thing that I would love to see more of is more unique power armor suits. They kind of started to do that with Fallout 76. Some of them I really like the excavator suit. I thought that was a really cool, interesting idea, and I absolutely think that was something that like I could totally see them doing for, you know, utility purposes. I really, really liked that. Then they also had some like other suits, like the one you get, the Hellcat suit that you get through the Brotherhood missions. That one was pretty cool. And then there was some other really cool ones. I don't remember the names off the top of my head. But then they also had some like kind of goofy ones, and it's like I definitely don't want to see that. I can tell that that's just like a cosmetic thing that they put in Fallout 76, and I wanted to just say that way in Fallout 76. Not that I even use that stuff, but still, yeah. Going back to firearms for just a moment, I want to talk about something that I kind of addressed in my previous video, and like I guess I didn't maybe touch enough on. I touched a little bit on it at the beginning of this video, and I'm going to lead back to it, or just to like really hammer it home. During the Cold War, we had M16s, AR-15s, AR-18s, and all of that stuff. To me, it makes sense that if in the Fallout universe, like sure, aesthetics and like furniture and everything, like okay, and here's another way to kind of explain some of that stuff. In our universe, we go through cycles where at one point, I'll let this play in the background
distant
for
weather
people
system.
with ADD. In our world, we go through cycles where like things in fashion go in and out of style. Right now, like, you know, hats like this are super in style for guys. Like 10 years ago, Ugg boots were super in style for women. Right now, the main aesthetic for like building houses and things like that is what's called the modern style, which is like, now if you look like modern houses, like this is what a lot of like the modern design houses look like. It's very strange. Like this is not, you know, even like for me, like I don't like a lot of these houses. This is weird as hell. Like I hate modern design. But you know, this is what a lot of houses, I guess, in some areas are being built like. If you go look at somewhere like Texas, this is kind of like the average. And well, no, these are like, okay, these are like rich people's houses in Texas. Like no lie. These are pretty damn fancy. Okay, so if we look at houses like this is like the normal modern design of like houses in Texas. This is what I'm more used to seeing. This is a big house, but I just want you to look at like the design of it. It's red brick in the front. You got a few windows, much less than like the other ones where they're less pronounced. You know, the garage, you know, stone, actual like angled roof where you can see the tiles, things like that. This is the style now. And if you go back to the 50s, these are the styles that were in the 50s. And to be honest with you, I'm actually looking at a house well, I can't afford it right now. I'm hoping to be able to afford it in like a couple years. But I'm looking at a house that is basically like this design. It's got like a vintage kind of like wood panel-y like looking like type of design like this, where it's like retro almost. It doesn't have like, you know, this kind of flooring, you know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it's pretty close, honestly. It's very much in that style, which goes to show you that like styles go through cycles, and we often will regurgitate the same cycles or the same styles in cycles because they're always like going through. You know that phrase like blue is the new black, black is the new blue, white is the new, you know, whatever, blah, 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 as it goes. It's the same thing. Things come and go in and out of style all the time. So, you know, people love to say that like, you know, we stopped in time and blah, blah. And I think that kind of is part of the story in Fallout. Like, I don't remember if it's time stopped or how it was explained, but I know that we like diverge in timeline at somewhere around the Cold War. Now, look, if people want to settle up and say that like houses and clothing and like things like that, like those styles stayed relatively or basically the same through, you know, basically like 100 years from like the 1970s to like 2070s for the, you know, time span between the split and the time drop. I can settle with that. But we're talking about war times. So the progression of weapon systems and things like that is still in full play. We came out with like power armor and laser weapons and things like that. So it only makes sense for us to also make upgrades to the firearms that we have at the time as well too. So I don't see how, honestly, it makes sense to have an argument against having modern guns in Fallout. I think one of the goofiest comments that I saw on that video, when I was like, some people really got upset because they were trying to say like, oh, he gets upset because like he can't deal with people debating him, because I was using logic to try to like reason with them and, you know, shoot my points. And they weren't really making like any real arguments, to be honest with you. They were just trying to like repeat the same things that other people said or like whatever. And nobody was really using any like actual game logic or real world logic or knowledge of firearms and things like that. A few people were a little bit, but for the most part, nobody was really making good arguments. And I'll never forget this one guy who said, what did he say? Oh yeah, so I was basically telling him like, you know, they're in Fallout New Vegas, we already have guns like the marksman rifle and things like that. And he's like, yeah, well, I just didn't like those. I didn't think they aesthetically fit with everything else, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you just like AKs and like other grungy guns then. That's just your opinion, man. Like, that has nothing to do with what makes sense in the game. That's just you literally being like, I just like these other things. Like, people's logic, people had no logic, no reasoning, like, and people wanted to try to say like, oh, we're debating. No, we're not debating anything. You're just trying to force your opinion onto me because you don't like the facts and stuff that I'm saying about like what makes sense and what doesn't. Like, it got really obnoxious. So that's another reason why I wanted to address it in this video, because I was honestly like baffled by how many people disagreed with me, and then also had like horrible arguments to try to give reasons to why they disagreed with me. You know, if you want to say that modern guns don't belong in Fallout, give me more of an argument than just basically that stuff. Like, give me a real reason, give me a real argument that makes sense as to why they don't belong. Because frankly, it doesn't make sense to me. We've already gotten some other modern guns in Fallout games. I don't get it. They're the most downloaded mods on all modding platforms, like everywhere. Like, just, yeah. Ugh. So that's my take on why Fallout 5 needs more American firepower. Not just like modern guns, but like specifically kind of like I was really touching on at the beginning of the video. They need a lot more American firepower and a lot more like American inventions in Fallout. We can say that the laser weapons are American. We can say that, you know, the power armor is American as well. That stuff definitely is. It's even in the lore that like we made it in America. But I think that when it comes to like firearms and things like that, we have a lot of like Chinese guns, Soviet guns, and, you know, guns from other countries, but we don't have enough stuff from America, and I really want to see more of that. So thank you all for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, I really appreciate it. I'm still doing my gift card giveaway. If you want to join that, link is in the description below. If you want to see more content like this, also follow my journey. I'm going to start streaming in about a month. I'm going to start streaming a bunch of games. I'm going to start doing like a bunch of horror stuff in November. I'm going to continue my Fallout Let's Play and other things like that. But until then, have a good one. Thanks again for watching. Bye, guys.